Shalom, and welcome to Hebrew Bible Secrets with your host, Rabbi Beaton. We are reading today from the book of Mark, chapter 10. Mark, chapter 10, verse 1. 1. And he arose from there, and comes into the coasts of Yehudah by the farther side of Jordan, and the people gathered to him again. And as his custom was, he taught them again. 2. And the Pharisees came to him and asked him, Is it permitted, according to Torah, for a man to put away his wife? Testing him. 3. And he answered and said to them, What did Musa, command you? 4. And they said, Moses, permitted us to write a certificate of get, and to put her away. 5. And Yeshua answered and said to them, For the hardness of your heart he wrote you this precept. 6. But from the beginning of creation Elohim made them male and female. 7. For this cause shall a man leave his his father and mother, and cleave to his wife. 8. And the two shall be one flesh. So then they are no more two, but one flesh. 9. What therefore Elohim has joined together, let no man put asunder. 10. And in the Beth, the house, his disciples asked him again of the same matter. 11. And he said to them, Whosoever shall put away his wife and marries another commits adultery against her. 12. And if a woman shall put away her husband and be married to another, she commits adultery. 13. And they brought young children to him, that he should touch them, and his disciples rebuked those that brought them. 14. But when Yeshua saw it, he was much displeased, and said to them, Permit the children to come to me, and forbid them not, for of such is the kingdom of Elohim. 15. Verily I say to you, whosoever shall not receive the kingdom of Elohim as a little child, he shall not enter therein. 16. And he took them up in his arms, put his hands upon them, and blessed them. 17. And when he was gone forth into the way, there came one running, and kneeled to him, and asked him, Good Rabbi, what shall I do, that I may inherit eternal life? 18. And Yeshua said to him, Why do you call me good? There is none good but one, that is Elohim. 19. You know the commandments. Do not commit adultery. Do not kill. Do not steal. Do not bear false witness. Defraud not. Respect your your father, and your mother. 20. And he answered and said to him, Rabbi, all these have I observed from my youth. 21. Then Yeshua felt love for him, and said to him, One thing you lack. Go your way, sell whatever you have, and give to the poor, and you shall have treasure in the Shamayim, in the heavens. And come and follow me. 22. And he was sad at that saying, and went away grieved, for he had great possessions. 23. And Yeshua looked round about, and said to his disciples, How hard for them that have riches to enter into the kingdom of Elohim. 24. And the disciples were astonished at his words. But Yeshua spoke again, and said to them, Children, how hard is it for them to enter into the kingdom of Elohim? 25. It is easier for a thick rope to go through the eye of a needle, than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of Elohim. 26. And they were astonished out of measure, saying among themselves, Who can then be rescued? And Yeshua, looking upon them, said, With men it is impossible, but not with Elohim, for with Elohim all things are possible. 28. Then Kepha began to say to him, Lo, we have left all and have followed you. 29. And Joshua answered and said, Verily I say to you, there is no man that has left Beth, house, or brothers, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my sake, and the Besorah, the good news. 30. Who shall not receive now, in this time, 100-fold, houses, and brothers, and sisters, and maidservants, and children, and fields, and other worldly things, and in the world to come, life everlasting. 31. But many that are first shall be last, and the last first. 32. And they were in the way going up to Jerusalem, and Yahushua went before them, and they were amazed as they followed, they were afraid. And he took again the 12 and began to tell them what things should happen to him. 33. Saying, Behold, we go up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man shall be handed to the chief Kohanim and to the experts of the Torah, and they shall condemn him to death, and shall hand him to the Gentiles. 34. And they shall mock him, and shall scourge him, and shall spit upon him, and shall kill him. And after 3 days he shall rise again. 35. And Yaakov and Yehukanan and John, the sons of Rabbi, came to him, saying, Rabbi, we would like you to do whatever we ask. 36. And he said to them, What is it that I should do for you? 37. They said to him, Grant us that we may sit, one on your right hand, and the other on your left, in your glory. 38. But Yahushua said to them, You know not what you ask. Can you drink of the cup that I drink of, and be immersed with the immersion that I am immersed with? 39. And they said to him, We can. And Yahushua said to them, You shall indeed drink of the cup that I drink of, and with the immersion that I am immersed with shall you be immersed. 40. But to sit on the right hand and on the left hand is not mine to give, but it shall be given to them for whom it is prepared. 41. And when the 10 heard it, they began to be very displeased with Yaakov and Yehukanan, John. 42. But Yahushua called them to him and said to them, You know that they which are accounted to rule over the Gentiles are masters over them, and their high officials exercise authority upon them. 43. But among you it shall not be so, but whosoever will be great among you shall be your servant. 44. And whosoever of you will be the greatest shall be servant of all. 45. For even the Son of Man came not to be served to, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many. 46. And they came to Jericho, and as they went out of Jericho, with his disciples and a great number of people, blind Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, sat by the highway side begging. 47. And when he heard that it was Yahushua of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, Yahushua, you, son of David, have loving kindness upon me. 48. And many rebuked him that he should hold his shalom, but he cried the more a great deal, You, son of David, have loving kindness upon me. 49. And Yahushua stood still and commanded him to be called. And they called the blind man, saying to him, Be of good comfort, rise, he calls you. 50. And he, casting away his garment, rose and came to Yahushua. 51. And Yahushua answered and said to him, What do you want me to do for you? The blind man said to him, Rabbi, that I might receive my sight. 52. And Yahushua said to him, Go your way, your faith has made you whole. And immediately he received his sight and followed Yahushua in the way. So that now brings us to the end of chapter 10. So let's have a look at some of the footnotes that are in chapter 10. So the first footnote we have is in verse 4. And they said, Moses, permitted us to write a certificate of get. Okay, so let's have a look at this of get. So we have here a divorce covenant. Okay, so a certificate of get is like a bill of divorce. Okay, let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 8. And the two shall be one flesh. So then they are no more two, but one flesh. Okay, let's have a look at this one flesh. So we have here, Yahushua said that no divorce was allowed unless a woman was whoring. He also said that no man should separate a married couple, while many in our society, including both Rabbim and pastors, freely allow people to divorce each other. Okay, so marriage is for life. This is what Yahushua is saying. So if you have come together in the eyes of Yahweh, then that marriage is for life. Okay, let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 9. What therefore Elohim has joined together, let no man put asunder. Okay, let's have a look at this. Put asunder. So we have here C footnotes, Matthew 5:31 and Matthew 19 and 8. Okay, let's have a look at Matthew 5:31. So Matthew 5:31 reads, it has been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a get, a bill of divorce. Okay, so we have a footnote for bill of divorce. So let's have a look at this quickly. A divorce decree written by a rabbi. Okay, so obviously in order to get a divorce, you'd have to go to the rabbi, and obviously the rabbi would listen to the case, why you wanted a divorce, and if obviously the case was seen as sound or permissible, then he would give you a bill of get, a bill of divorce. Okay, so we also have go to Matthew 19:08. So let's have a look at Matthew 19:8, and it reads, he said to them, Musa, because of your hardness of your hearts, allowed you to put away your wives, but from the beginning it was not so. Okay, so we have a footnote here for put away your wives. So let's have a look at this. So the word is plural wives, because we are allowed to have plural marriages as our lifestyle. So a man is allowed to have more than one wife if he is keeping the Torah. Okay? So that's what this is stating. A man obviously may have more than one wife. Okay? Through plural marriage. So we have another footnote here, which is, but from the beginning it was not so. So let's have a look at this. Yahweh did not ordain divorce. Yashua in the desert pestered Moses that he gave in to them, putting their wives away for a temporary season, for the wife to return and the husband to take her back. This was demonstrated in Moses' own wife Zipporah, who was sent away and later returned to him after her father fixed her attitude problem with Musa, the great prophet. Exodus 18:2, also Hoshea was commanded to bring his wife back, who had also been sent away, in Hosea 3:1 and 2. Okay, so the wives obviously being put away in the desert came back to the husbands eventually. Okay? So they weren't put away forever. So it wasn't a divorce forever. They were put away for a while and then came back to the husband. Okay, let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 11, sorry. And he said to them, whosoever shall put away his wife and marries another commits adultery against her. So let's have a look at this, commits adultery against her. So we have C footnote, Matthew 19 and 9. Okay, let's have a look at Matthew 19 and 9. And it reads, and I say to you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for whoring, and shall marry another, commits adultery, and whosoever marries her, which has been put away, does also commit adultery. Okay, so we have a footnote here for except it be for whoring, and shall marry another. Shall marry another. Let's have a look at this. This is condemning serial monogamy, where a man leaves one wife for no reason and marries another in order to make room for the second. In plural marriage, he would not leave his wife to get another. It would not be wrong, as per Torah in the Barim, Deuteronomy 21:15, to take on 2 wives or more, as did our forefathers, and were all righteous men and women who lived in those Kadosh marriages. Okay, so it was righteous to have more than one wife. Okay, so you weren't doing anything wrong if you had more than one wife and you were keeping the Torah. Okay, so we have another footnote here which says puts away does also commit adultery. It says here, read also the footnote on Matthew 5:31, which I've already read, but I'll read it again. Okay, 5:31. It has been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a get, bill of divorce. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which you have in verse 12. And if a woman shall put away her husband and be married to another, she commits adultery. So let's have a look at this. She commits adultery. A marriage is supposed to be until the death of the husband. So technically, a woman cannot put her husband away in his lifetime unless a Beth Din, a house of judgment, decide for whatever reason this was the right thing to do. Some examples would be for such cases as fraud in the early parts of a marriage, or such things as mental instability. A husband who is unjust, who perhaps beats his wife unduly, also for other cases of mercy. Note, Torah does not recognize divorce in the same way as in our modern world today. See http://www.forever-israel.com/bm/marriage-divorce.html. Okay, so that gives you a little more understanding that marriage is for life. So let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 16. And he took them up in his arms and put his hands upon them and blessed them. Okay, let's have a look at this word, bless them. We are to show love to children and pray over them, while some in our society abuse children. For such, the judgment awaits. There are special cases where they will not be allowed to enter the kingdom. Okay, let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 18. And Yeshua said to him, why do you call me good? There is none good but one, that is Elohim. Okay, let's have a look at this. and it reads, Yahshua was not negating his set-apart nature, but points back to Genesis and to the creation. He clearly said to obey Torah, to inherit eternal life. This means rescue by unmerited favor for our faith and practice of the Torah covenants. But without Torah, the favor will not be bestowed upon us. Okay, so in order to have eternal life, one has to be keeping the commandments. So this is the favor. Keep the commandments and you will have the favor and the mercy. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 21. Then Yahshua felt love for him and said to him, one thing you lack, go your way, sell whatever you have and give to the poor, and you shall have treasure in the Shamayim, and come and follow me. So let's have a look at this, come and follow me. So we have here, missing in the manuscripts, the Babylonian cross. Pick up your cross, reading. That says, so come and follow me. So, missing in the manuscripts, the Babylonian cross. So let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 22. And he was sad at that saying, and went away grieved, for he had great possessions. Okay, let's have a look at this, great possessions. The Yahshua was testing his heart, and the man was very stingy, so could not give his wealth away. Yahshua did not want him to just drop all his money, but wanted to see if there was any willingness, and there was not. This does not mean this man will not enter the kingdom. He indeed will, because he is Torah observant. But Yahshua was illustrating a point of using the wealth for the kingdom. Okay, so this was about, asking him to sell his riches for the wealth of the kingdom, to help the poor and the needy. So he wasn't willing to do that, so that's why he went away grieved, okay? Because he had many possessions and didn't want to sell his possessions. So let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 23. And Yahshua looked round about and said to his disciples, how hard for them that have riches to enter into the kingdom of Elohim. So let's have a look at this. Rich people are more interested in worldly business and money facts rather than the business of the kingdom. Okay, so I think that's self-explanatory. So let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 24. And the disciples were astonished at his words. But Yahshua spoke again and said to them, children, how hard is it for them to enter into the kingdom of Elohim? So let's have a look at this. Elohim. Rich people are more interested in worldly business and money facts rather than the business of the kingdom. Some people think that by building schools and hospitals, they can earn a seat in the coming kingdom. But the seat in heaven is totally by unmerited favor upon the favor of the King, Yahweh. We are only asked to be obedient to the Torah of Moses once the favor is bestowed upon us. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 25. It is easier for a thick rope to go through the eye of a needle. Okay, so it is easier for a thick rope. So let's have a look at this. So we have a C footnote, Matthew 19:24. So let's have a look at Matthew 19:24 quickly. So Matthew 19:24 reads, and again I say to you, it is easier for a thick rope to go through the eye of a needle than for a man to enter into the kingdom of Elohim. So we have here a footnote for rope. So let's have a look at this. The word gamel can mean a rope or camel, but here it is not a camel but a thick rope. The Aramaic word gamlo, though, can mean a camel, but because people started using camel's hair to make a rope, therefore it became to be known as gamlo. You can unwind a rope of many strands and it can go through the eye of an eagle by being unwound, as illustrated in the rich man losing his wealth, while a camel can never go through the eye of a needle, which was clearly a misreading by the Greek scribes. Okay? So that was a misreading by the Greek scribes there. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 30. Who shall not receive now, in this time, 100-fold, houses, and brothers, and sisters, and maidservants, and children, and fields, and other worldly things, and in the world to come, life everlasting. Okay. So, and brothers and sisters and maidservants. So we have a footnote from maidservants, so let's have a look at this. The Greek haters of biblical polygamy removed the 100 maidservants in the kingdom to come. The Aramaic uses the word for maidservants, using the language of the Torah, implying that you will receive concubines or wives for losing your one wife, and children for the Torah's sake. It is an allegory of blessings, not necessarily that we will have 100 wives. Yahweh will multiply your rewards by 100. This is not to say that you will take up all 100 as wives, but the choice is there to decide how many wives you can take and keep with righteousness. Most people are happy with one. One man may decide to take 2 wives and keep the rest as servants, while another may decide to take 7 wives and keep the others for servants. Yisraeli should never compromise to live by the world's standards, because we are forbidden to follow the Gentile way of living. Western Greek monogamy and asceticism are the way of the Gentiles. Okay, so that gives you a more understanding of what the Father will do for those who have given up things, family, wives, children, for the sake of the Torah. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 34. And they shall mock him, and shall scourge him, and shall spit upon him, and shall kill him. And after 3 days he shall rise again. Okay, so let's have a look at this after the 3 days. So we have here, the manuscript read, after the 3 days, meaning complete and whole days, and not on the 3rd day reading. Okay, so these have to be 3 days whole that have passed. Okay? So 3 days whole, exactly. So let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 45. For even the Son of Man came not to be served to, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many. So let's have a look at this ransom for many. So we have this is a misquote, as this is not the role of Yahushua, but this is how facts are twisted. Okay, so that was a misquote there, yeah? And to give his life a ransom for many. So that was a misquote. Okay? So that now brings us to the end of Mark chapter 10. So I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the other side. This is Rabbi Jeremy Beaton saying thank you for watching. And Shalom Shalom. Baruch Shem, Kivod, Malkuto, Leolam Va'ed. Benevolent be the name of his esteemed kingdom, forever and ever and ever. Amen.